Hi, my name's Chris Catto, and I'm the author of How to Become a Suburban Financial Champion. Over the best part of the last 20 years, my career has been focused on financial management. And more recently, over the last 4 years, I've had the privilege and the honour of regularly presenting for leading global accounting bodies and institutes, both locally and overseas. Now, what you need to understand to get ahead in your personal financial life is you need to understand the key critical relationship between three concepts. One is value, how value is actually created. Two, money, how we exchange that value. And three, the wealth creation process, what wealth is and how do we actually create wealth. Now in this particular video, what I want to talk to you about is, and challenge your thinking, is about whether banks actually create money. You must be thinking, what? Of course banks create money. No, banks create currency. Now, if we were to borrow from William Jevons' classic book about the mechanisms of money, what we would learn is that there are four key fundamental pillars associated with money. The first is that money is clearly a medium of exchange. The second is that money is a measure of value, and that is a divisible measure of value. The third key principle of money is that it holds a standard, of exchange to other mediums of exchange. The last and the fourth key principle of money is that money is a store of value. Now, in our modern world today, money is not a store of value. Why? Because we have inflation. So, due to inflation, money is actually depreciating every year. So, if banks don't create money, then who does create money? Where does money come from? So if I was just to give you a quick history lesson on where money comes from, is historically money was a promissory note. And that is that when we created something and we exchanged some goods for some gold or silver back a couple of hundred years ago, what we'd then do is we'd take that gold or silver and take it to a goldsmith, and the goldsmith would hand us a promissory note to say that we've deposited this money. This promissory note could then be divisible and exchanged to other people who could then redeem that promissory note for the gold or silver that's been held in the accounts of the goldsmith. However, what we did was we moved forward. The goldsmiths were the first banks per se, if you'd like, in terms of the modern version of banks. Now, what we came up with after that was a concept of fractional banking, where we would lend out more money into the environment, into the economy, than was actually held in the banks. To lead on from that, in terms of banks and the creation of currency, what banks do is banks will create debt and exchange that for monies. So when we have debt, what we're doing is we're actually creating containers of money, which we call currencies. Historically, the containers of money held value because the value had already been deposited in the goldsmith's accounts. But in today, what the banks do through the fractional banking system and also through loans and debt creation is they create currencies where the value has not been created. The value has not been substantiated. The value is future value, future work, debt. So what does that actually mean? What are the implications of that? The implications of that is that when we have future value, when we have money that's been created based on future value, there's always the chance that future value will never be created. So think about the subprime market and the GFC. What happened there? What happened there was we gave out loans to people who could not afford them, and eventually we realised they were never going to be able to repay the loans. But what did we do with those loans? Those loans actually created monies which were exchanged in the derivative markets as value. But that value actually did not exist. So when the markets realised that that value doesn't exist, the markets contracted. These containers disappeared. They were no longer there. So we had to go back to historical value in terms of what was there and what can we actually substantiate in the marketplace. So that's the danger that you must understand in terms of the monetary system and how we create currencies and what the role of debt in expanding what they call the money supply, or how much money there is in the marketplace. So you must understand that money, modern money, is just a currency. That the value, a lot of modern monies, the value has yet to be created. And this is why you see a lot of economic news and they're forecasting what might happen in the future. And they talk about economic activity because they're very worried about whether people have enough activity to create the value into the future to substantiate the monies in the marketplace. It's very critical that you understand that. So in our book, in our online masterclass series about how to become a suburban financial champion, what we teach you is what's value? How do we create value? Where does value come from? Then, what's money and what's the role of money? Then, how do you create wealth? So in the next video, what we'll talk about is we'll talk about wealth and how we actually create wealth. So I'll just give you a quick insight on money and why banks don't create money. They create currencies and they create value which needs to be substantiated by future work, future debt. It's created by debt. So I hope you enjoyed that and I look forward to speaking with you in the next video. Bye for now.